Well, welcome back. This is Julie Baranick, host of the Seven Figure Builder Show, and I'm here today with my friend Dr. Sabrina Starling. Hey, Sabrina.
Hey, Julie, I'm so excited to be here with you this afternoon.
I am too, because you are the brilliant business psychologist. You're international best-selling author of How to Hire the Best, the 4-week vacation, and you're going to tell us how that we can earn $10,000 per hour. Do
Yes.
share.
Yes. Oh, well, I love talking about this topic. I believe that as 6 and 7 figure business owners, one of the best things we can do for ourselves is value our time. And early on in my business, I'm talking 18, 19 years ago, as I was getting started, I set out to grow my business only working 25 hours a week because I had a young family and that was the most I was willing to put my daughter in daycare. Well, as you can imagine, starting up a business, there's all the things that we have to do. We have to learn marketing, we have to learn sales. And as a coach, I was learning coaching skills all at the same time. And one day I just found myself feeling completely overwhelmed. I had a breakdown, like big, ugly cry in my laundry room, trying to figure out how I was going to get it all done in this 25-hour work week. And I had this moment of clarity after I cried really hard. I had this moment of clarity, and it was a question, and it was really, Sabrina, if you can only get one thing done today that's going to move this business forward, what is the most valuable thing that you could do? And I knew my answer right away. I went and did that thing. When I walked out of my office at the end of that day, I still had a lot of things on my to-do list, but I felt good and I felt at peace because I thought I did something that I know is actually growing the business. It's working on the business, it's building a foundation, and it's going to help us grow. And that's the mentality that I've used all these years to grow Tap the Potential and to do it working about 25 hours a week. And I came to think about the high value on the business time as my $10,000 an hour time. And Julie, I did that for a couple of reasons. And I think you and probably everyone who's an entrepreneur can relate to that. It's because when someone says, I'll meet with you at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, if that's your time to work on your business, it's very easy to just blow past that time block on our calendar, if we even block it. So let's just start like, not everybody, we don't all block our time. But if we have it blocked, it's really easy to say, oh, somebody needs me during that time. And so I'll do it later. And then later never comes. And we find ourselves always in the survival trap in the business. And the only way that I found to get out of the survival trap is to be intentional with holding my $10,000 an hour time on my calendar. And I'm not perfect, but when I call it my $10,000 an hour time, I usually maintain it at least 80% of the time. And that's been enough to help me grow Tap the Potential all these years. And so I came across a chart of $10,000 an hour activities in the book, The 80/20 Principles for Sales and Marketing, or 80/20 Sales and Marketing. And I thought that's such a really cool chart because it delineated the difference between a $10,000 an hour activity, $1,000, $100, $10 an hour activity. But the problem was, is it was mostly geared for marketers, and it was helpful in some ways. I was starting my business because you have to do a lot of marketing, but I wanted to have a chart for myself that really focused on as the owner of the business. And so I created that chart for myself as a business owner. And over the years, through the research that we've done on entrepreneurs who are thriving, who have a high quality of life, and who are not burning out, what they do differently versus those who burn out, we've identified those $10,000 an hour activities that help the business to grow, that give the business owner their life back and allow the business to be profitable. So that's the chart of $10,000 an hour activities. And I always say, I print it out, laminate it. I keep mine behind my computer monitor where my eye falls on it. And it's a big reminder to me when I find myself bogged down in the $10 an hour activities or $100 an hour activities, to be looking at how do I delegate that or get rid of it altogether. I mean, AI now can just take away these $10 an hour activities in our lives.
Totally.
So there's lots of opportunity there. And I always like to think of it as a game. I want to trade up the value of my time so that I'm spending less time on those $100 an hour activities, more time on $1,000. And then I, look at the $1,000 an hour activities and look at how can I delegate these? Who on my team can I delegate this to? Which creates opportunities for advancement. A players crave these opportunities for advancement. So one of the fun things for me in all of this is the full circle of realizing these aren't just skills that I've had to learn for myself and how to value my time at $10,000 an hour, but I've had to teach it to my team.
Yeah.
And I love it when my team members come to me and say, I'm doing this $100 an hour activity. I see a way to delegate this, and I want to spend my time over here on this $1,000 an hour activity or even a $10,000 an hour activity. And that's where I just say, yes, 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 because that's where we can really grow in our businesses. So I want to share the link for the chart of $10,000 an hour activities for anyone who wants to go download it. It's tapthepotential.com/10K.
Perfect. I will include that in the show notes, and I absolutely love that. And it's so critical that we shift our mindset. Like when we put it in those terms,
Yes.
look at things very, very differently. And I think of my daughter as she's working, we've had similar life lessons at home. Everything here is a life lesson at home. It's like, you want to go buy XYZ. Okay, well, she works her job. So how many hours is that, right? Like when you
Yeah.
frame it from $100 in the 17-year-old mind to how many hours it takes her to earn that, it puts it in a whole new perspective of like, oh, maybe I'm going to wait. Or
Yes.
maybe it's
Yeah.
not so important,
Yeah. Well, and what I really want to clarify about the $10,000 an hour activities, there are some things that we can do, like keynote speaking. You get paid $10,000 an hour, but there's a lot of prep work that goes into even being ready to do that keynote, right? So it's not like you just get $10,000 an hour for showing up and walking on stage. So the money doesn't necessarily show up in our business. Like if we're doing a $10,000 an hour activity, the money doesn't show up that week in our business for that. But it does show up over time when we're working on building systems and serving our top clients and looking at how can we create more value for our top clients. That's where the value of that time really is $10,000 an hour. And I look back now 17 years ago and I want to thank myself and say, thank you so much for doing that $10,000 an hour time, because now you have a solid business that
right.
is profitable. And that's what we're all after.
Yeah. And that all those activities compound upon themselves. So that over
Yes.
time, it absolutely is, creating that recurring revenue. And to a couple of things you mentioned of working on the business, not necessarily in the business, which it's hard for all of us. We get stuck in those hamster wheels on occasion of like, okay, I need to focus on growth, delegate with my team and focus on those bigger movement activities than just spinning our wheels, in the day to day, which is hard.
And Julie, I know you're all about working smarter, not harder. So this fits right into that. And one of the things that I learned this year is there is a study that was done in 3 years that was reported in the Harvard Business Review, and they studied professionals. And we will spend up to 41% of our time on tasks that offer us little to no personal satisfaction and can be competently handled by others. 41% of our time. So when I talk about I'm working a 25-hour work week, a lot of people say, how on earth do you do that? Well, it's being really good at delegation and being very intentional using this chart of $10,000 an hour activities to get things off of my plate that are not my strengths. Because when we work outside of our strengths, we procrastinate and we don't do a good job and we end up spending a lot of extra time on those tasks. So when we're looking at who can I delegate this to, we want to look for people who have that strength, who enjoy doing it, and we get it off our plate. And then we get to look around and say, okay, what can I do to serve this business from my strengths? That's really going to have an impact.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, my brain is, I'm very much a systems automation person. Like that's just how my brain is wired. And so I forever have always, when I do something once, I do it with the 50th time in mind.
Oh, that's
Right.
lovely. That's so good.
So it may take a little bit longer the first time, but like I engineer it in a way that it's repeatable, it's documented, it's, that I can just then take it once I get it perfected and hand it to my team and say, okay, now you take it.
Yeah,
So
that's ten
I
thousand
don't have
dollar an
to.
hour time. When it takes you longer, it's okay because that's how valuable that time is that you're spending.
Yeah. And then it frees up your time day after day, week after week, and then you can focus on the important things or enjoy the free time.
Yes. Yes, for
Which,
sure.
to that point, I know you have an amazing book, The 4 Week Vacation, which
Yeah.
sounds fabulous to me. But can you tell us a bit about, how is that possible?
It's okay. So it's absolutely possible. And to your point about creating systems and automation, when we start systematizing in our businesses and we delegate, we are freeing up our time. And one of the goals that we need to have in our business is to have no key team member dependency
Hmm.
because any one of us can get sick. Like we've all been through COVID. We know what COVID did in our businesses. And so if we think about if we had to be out of the business for an extended period of time, how does it run without us?
Right.
And we want to be able to take care of our team members and make sure that every operation can run in the business. So generating leads, converting sales, delivering services, collecting on payments, all that whole business cycle. And 4 weeks is usually, it's kind of the average for how that whole business cycle runs. And so that's the value of really setting your business up where you can be away and take a 4 week vacation. Because if you, and when you can show that the business can run without you for 4 weeks, you have elevated the value of your business dramatically. Because if you want to sell the business at some point, which if it's not if, it's when you want to sell or transition the business, if it is dependent on you as the business owner, you will have so much less value. And the price that you get
Yeah.
for the business is going to be so much lower. So it's really in your best interest to look at setting your business up so that you can take a 4 week vacation. The other part of this, though, is it's not just about the business owner. We want all of our team members to be able to be away from the business for extended periods. So we want to create redundancy throughout the business. And it creates huge incentive in terms of when you're trying to recruit A players, when you can say to them, we run things here so you can take fully unplugged vacations. We don't expect you to take your laptop. As a matter of fact, we tell you not to take your laptop or
Right.
your phone on vacation because we want you to fully unplug and experience the benefit of that. So this is, it starts with the business owner because that's usually, we have everything running through us, all the decisions run through us. So this is a process of teaching your team how to make decisions on their own and how to make decisions in alignment with a way that you, the business owner, feel good about. It means hiring A players and learning how to hire the best. So that's why I wrote my book on how to hire the best, because I realized you can't take a 4 week vacation if you don't know how to hire A players. So when it comes to taking a 4 week vacation, a lot of people will say, I would love to do that one day. And I want to tell you, if you have a 6 or 7 figure business, you can do this in 12 to 18 months.
Mhm.
So if you have steady lead generation, then you can take a 4 week vacation in 12 to 18 months. If you have a 6 to 7 figure business, it means you have figured out lead generation. You
Right.
have steady lead generation in place. And what we do, we offer what's called the 4 week vacation pledge. So this is for business owners who hear about the 4 week vacation and you say, yes, I want to do that one day. And what I want to get you thinking about is you can do it much sooner than you realize. So when you take the 4 week vacation pledge with us at Tap the Potential, we reach out to you and we give you an assessment. And then we look at that assessment and we send you resources to help you get ready for the 4 week vacation based on the results of that assessment. So, my big, hairy, audacious goal, Julie, is to have 10,000 entrepreneurs out there in the world who've taken a 4 week vacation. And so whenever I get the chance to speak on a podcast like yours and invite people to take the 4-week vacation pledge, I'm so thrilled because that to me, when we have 10,000 entrepreneurs out there in the world who've taken a 4-week vacation, we're disrupting hustle culture. And we're saying, you know what, work can support life. It doesn't have to be our lives supporting work.
Yeah.
And what we do when we're setting our businesses up to take a 4-week vacation is we're building a sustainable business, a business that can endure no matter what happens, no matter what crises, pandemic, business owner needing to just take time off because you want to do something and take care of a family member, for example, or you need the time off. And a lot of us as business owners, we totally minimize the impact on our creativity and strategic thinking when we're working all the time. So we need to take vacations so that we're more impactful with our $10,000 an hour time. We come up with better ideas. We come up with bolt from the blue ideas when we're on vacation that solve problems maybe that we've been dealing with for a year in the business. So I want to share the link if you would like to take the 4-week vacation pledge. It's tapthepotential.com/pledge.
I love that. And I'm writing down the link.
Awesome.
We can include it in the show notes.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so many thoughts come up as we talk about this topic from in my years as corporate, or my years in corporate rather. One of my biggest beliefs and things that I've come to discover is the measure of a leader is by the ability for your team to run without them.
Yes.
And just the competency of that leader is as you're training your team to all the things you just mentioned and getting them independent, getting them empowering your team to make decisions. And it gives you that ability to be able to go on vacation and not be a firefighter all the time and have you sucked back into the craziness. You need to be able to take that step away.
Absolutely. And the only way to grow your business far into the 7 figures is to be that leader who empowers the team. Because when we have team members who can't make decisions on their own or who are constantly looking to us for reassurance, we are bottlenecking the growth of the business. So getting some A players on the team, teaching them how to make decisions on their own, learning coaching skills ourselves. I think that's one of the biggest pieces that we can do is learning how to ask the powerful questions that get our team members to come up with solutions on their own and really own their own creativity and expertise in solving the problem. Because usually the problem that they're trying to solve, they have much more intimate knowledge of the ins and outs of that problem than we do as the business owner. And I know they look at our team members look at us and they think we must know everything because we own this business. But the more team we add, the less we know. And we really have to be able to call on our team members to bring their good expertise and wisdom into solving the problems in the business.
Yeah. And to your point of creativity, I'm going to massacre this, but I remember reading it was either about Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. I have a feeling they both did this, but forgive me if I screw this up. But they would take these extended leaves from their business and they would go completely off the grid and come back with, okay, this is what we're doing. Right.
Yes.
Because you have that time to recharge and think clearly and not be stuck in the day to day. And so then you can, bring that back and say, I have clarity.
Yeah. And this isn't just the business owner doing this. I have a team member who just took a week-long vacation, and her experience was she had a very hard time shutting it down and not thinking about the business. But once she finally did, she relaxed and she had some ideas for how to solve some challenges that she's been dealing with for a while. And so yes, we need to take 4-week vacations, but we also need to take vacations all along the way. And I think that's the beauty of getting your business ready to take a 4-week vacation is that you, the business owner, start testing. And so you start with what's the longest you've been able to be away fully unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's a week, which is phenomenal, a lot of business owners, the research that we've done, Julie, with our Better Business, Better Life assessment The average length in business of those we've assessed is 12 years. And the most frequently reported number of days business owners say they can be fully unplugged is 0 days.
Wow.
Yeah, so when we talk about fully unplugging, that means not checking email, not being available on Slack or Voxer or any other messaging tool that we have, and really being down and unplugged. And so I'm getting ready to take my 4 week vacation in July. And I've done this now for probably for about 5 years. This is maybe my fifth or sixth 4 week vacation. And the reason it's so important is our businesses grow and evolve from year to year. And so it's not like we take a 4 week vacation and then we're done and we never have to do it again. We have to continually vacation test our business. Last year, when I took my 4 week vacation in the summer, I had 2 new team members, and it was their first experience after I had trained them. It was their first experience in being on their own with me gone for 4 weeks. And they were so excited to show me what they could do. I came back and we had beat our sales goals for that month. And they were so proud. They're like, look at this, look what we did. And I said,
Go
this
away
is
again.
amazing. Yes, yes, go away again. And I happily did. I scheduled another vacation. And,
Right.
we just continue that process in the business.
I love that. And you mentioned a couple of times, but vacation testing it, like
Yes.
you're testing your business for the weak spots of what do you need to bulk up so that you can take those extended leaves, but what systems, what people, what processes, what SOPs, whatever you need
Yes.
to put in place to fill those gaps.
Yeah. And I know you love actionable insights for your listeners. And so I want to give some really pointed tips here around this. So look at whatever you would need to do to be away fully unplugged. And if it's a week that you've done and you want to extend that, maybe go for 2 weeks. So what are all the things you would have to get in place for you to be gone for 2 weeks? Put systems in place and delegate that ahead of time. And then when you get back, look at what fell through the cracks and talk to the team involved and ask, don't fix it yourself. Ask for their ideas. How could we prevent this next time around? What ideas do you have? What do we need to do? And the other important tip is don't take anything back. So our tendency is we go on vacation and we delegate stuff, but then we think our team members must have been so busy while we were gone and they can't wait for us to get back. And then we take it back from them. When we do that, we're actually sending a very disempowering message to our team members. We're saying, I know you handled it for 2 weeks, but I don't think you could handle this long term. And that's very disempowering. And so we want, whenever we delegate, we don't take it back. And so a lot of times business owners will say, well, what do I do when I get back? Because I delegated all this stuff. Well, great. Now pull out your chart of $10,000 an hour activities and look at what is not getting done in the business that adds value to the business. Look at what your strengths are, and we'll figure it out. There's always something that you can do. And the other final pointer I want to give on this is whenever we are delegating to go on vacation, we need to delegate down, not up. And this is very important when we're getting our team members to delegate when they go on vacation, because it's very easy for them to say, like my sales lead went on vacation this past week. It would have been very easy for her to say, okay, Dr. Sabrina, I need you to, respond to all these leads that come in, and you need to do some consults for me while I'm out. And I can't, I don't have space anymore in my calendar for that. So she had to delegate it down. And a lot of us, especially Tap the Potential clients, run on lean and mighty teams. So, because we're all about profit and keeping the team as small as possible with A players. And so, because she didn't have anybody to delegate down to, we had to get very creative with systems and looking at who else on the team who is maybe parallel, same level as her, or in a different department could take on these activities. And now we have redundancy in that area, and sales redundancy is absolutely critical in our
Oh, yeah.
businesses. If she wasn't taking vacation, we wouldn't have any of that redundancy put in place. But now we do, because she took vacation.
Yeah. And that's critical. I mean, that's something that is so simple, but it either is a matter of your business growing, right? Because as you're delegating down, those team members are getting more skilled and they're able to take on more, they're more capable, right? So that you can continue to elevate the expertise of your team, or if you're delegating up, you're capping yourself, right?
Yes,
Because people above you are always more maxed out than people below. So
absolutely.
it's like two completely different results based off of which way you're delegating.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. And just, talking to those A players, what are the most critical skills and gaps that you see that people either are able to pull them into their team or absolutely not?
Yeah. So I think one of the things to be aware of when we're talking about A players is they are not like typical team members. So only about 10% of the population will be A players. And A players have a different psychology than a warm body team member. So A players are highly motivated and it comes from intrinsic motivation. So internal, like we just want to do a good job for the sake of doing a good job. No one has to dangle a carrot in front of me and show up and be prepared to be on this podcast with Julie.
Mhm.
I'm just like, I got this opportunity. I'm going to show up and be prepared and do my best because that's an intrinsic motivation for me. So all of our A players on our team are like that. Business owners in general tend to be A players, most of us, not all of us, but the ones who want to learn and grow are A players. Our team members who are A players are just like that. They want to learn and grow. They're looking for opportunities for advancement. They want to contribute and add value to the team. They want their ideas to be heard and respected. So one of the gaps that you asked, what are the gaps with A players? One of the gaps is we business owners are not good at articulating our vision for the business. And so our A players are full of ideas and energy. And they will come up with ideas and want to implement things in the business that have nothing, they're not at all related to the vision, or they're not related to the sweet spot of the business, or they don't drive profitability. And if that's left unchecked, then A players will be very frustrated because a lot of times what they'll get is the business owner doesn't do anything with my ideas. I'm telling them all the time, but they're not doing anything. And as a matter of fact, we run a course called Leadership Boot Camp. And this is for the A players in our clients' businesses. And we teach them about the sweet spot of the business, which is the intersection of your ideal clients, what they value most about what you do, and the systems that you put in place to deliver that. And there was this A player team member who was in there, and he had been getting very discouraged. He'd been losing his motivation. And he came back after I taught about the sweet spot. He came back the next week and he said, I had the biggest epiphany, Dr. Sabrina. And he said, when they don't listen to my ideas, it's not because I don't have good ideas. It's because my ideas had nothing to do with the sweet spot of the business. And they were pulling us off track. And we have limited capacity because every small business does. And now that I understand the sweet spot, I can see where I can apply my strengths and support the sweet spot. And I gave them some ideas this week and they took them and ran with them. And it was the best feeling ever. And
Oh,
and that's really the value of us as business owners taking the time. We've got to figure these things out ourselves in our businesses. And then we have to open our mouths. Like it has to come out of our mouth
yeah.
and we have to share it with our A player team members because they really do want to support us in the business as business owners.
Yeah. And that's really important too, of not only sharing the vision once, but the vision is going to evolve. So
Yes.
continually sharing, this is the direction that we're going. This is what we're all doing collectively together to reach whatever that goal is that we're working towards. So I
Yeah.
think that's critical.
It's critical. And I I share our vision statement once a quarter in our all team meeting. And every time I do it, I always feel like they must be bored. They've heard me say this just like 3 months ago. There's nothing new here. And every time I share it, I get feedback from team members that they feel inspired, they feel excited. I love sharing, hey, look what we accomplished this quarter that moved us closer to the vision. So I really connect how when we achieve our goals as a team, how it's actually moving us to the vision. But the other gap in relation to A players is that we business owners, again, it comes back to us as the business owner, are not good about having one-to-ones with our A players.
Mm.
We will spend a lot more time trying to coach up our problem team members, our warm bodies, and we put all of our energy and effort there. And our thinking is, these are the problems, I've got to fix them. And the A players over here, they're fine. They've got this. They don't need anything from me. They're going to just do their thing. And we need to reverse that mentality. We need to invest the most time with our A players because that's that's our $10,000 an hour time. When we're talking to an A player about here's the sweet spot and here's how what you do in your role and how that serves the sweet spot of the business. And what support do you need from me this week to help you be more effective? That is $10,000 an hour time. And a lot of times I'll hear from A players that the business owners blow past the appointment on the calendar for the one-to-one. And I think that's a huge mistake because we business owners are over here solving problems, putting out fires. And so we'll say, I don't have time to meet with this team member this week. But when we overlook doing that, we're just setting ourselves up for more fires in the future because our A players can help us put out those fires. So the one-to-ones and doing that weekly or every other week with our A players is highly valuable time on the team.
Yeah, 100%. And I often think back to when I was in corporate working, I was reported directly to the VP, and he asked me the one day in our one-to-one, what do you need for me to be successful? And I said, I need flexibility. And I could see his face drop. Like, I need flexibility to work from home. This was pre-COVID and all that. I need flexibility to use my creativity to solve problems. He's like, oh, okay, I can do that. Go.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
I need your trust in me to do well.
Yeah. And you weren't making a huge ask. You weren't asking him to go do something crazy. You just wanted him to trust you and to give you that freedom. And that I hope everyone who's listening is taking that in because that's what A players crave is we want that freedom and flexibility to be able to solve problems and do our best thinking. And our work environments oftentimes don't facilitate that. I'm so fortunate. I work from home and I can have quiet. I can just shut my door and have quiet. Well, yesterday I needed to work at the kitchen table because we have a puppy and we didn't want him in the crate the whole time. And I was doing email and whatever. And so I said, I'll sit at the kitchen table. Well, my husband, who also works from home, came and sat with me and he was just chatting away. And he said, you told me you were going to be done an hour ago. And I said, I am not done because you keep talking.
I love you.
But it made me so aware of this is what goes on in our work environments for our team members constantly. If we have an office setting where multiple team members are together, there's constant interruptions. And so we all need to respect when does a team member need quiet time and solitude to be able to do their best thinking and to be the most productive. And how are we setting that up in our work environments? And a lot of A players are going to be more effective when they can work from home or be in the office part-time, but not full-time. And a lot of business owners say, well, I don't feel like I can get the most out of them when they're working at home. But if we really focus on a results-oriented work environment and the result that those A players are responsible for, it's not about the amount of time that they're in the office or even clocking in. It's about what is the result that they're delivering.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And I know you've mentioned a couple different ways that you help people where you have your books, of course, and you have, sessions and all that. But tell us a bit, how do you help people? How can they find you?
Okay. So the core business that we have is tapthepotential.com. And a lot of our clients are in our Better Business, Better Life program. And that is designed to help you take your life back from your business and be on the track to taking a 4-week vacation. The other way that I help people, Julie, is on the Profit by Design podcast, where I talk every week about tips, tools, and strategies to design your business to be sustainably profitable so that your work supports your life. And one of the things that I want to say, I just want to acknowledge you as a podcaster because podcasting is such a valuable learning tool and you're bringing incredible guests. For those of you who are listening, please leave a review for the podcast, because that helps other people find it. And when you're listening to a podcast, if other people come to mind and you think, oh my gosh, I would love for my friend Joe to hear this, he needs to hear this, share the podcast, because that organic sharing that we do when we share podcasts that we come across, it helps improve the reach. And I also want to say that podcasting is a $10,000 an hour activity for sure, because of the impact that it has on our businesses.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And I couldn't agree more. And I mean, just being in the podcast world, I get to meet and connect with brilliant people such as yourself. And it opens up the doors for massive opportunities in addition to the massive reach of the audiences and the relationships that you build. And I mean, I could talk for days on just the benefits of podcasting. So I agree with
Incredible.
you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. And I'm curious, I mean, you've accomplished such amazing things, but how do you define success? What does that look like for you?
Oh, I have such an easy answer for that. When I walk out of my office at 3 o'clock and I pick up my daughter and take her to swim team practice and I'm done for the day, I feel successful. When I take a 4-week vacation in July, I feel successful. It's the freedom to be away from the business and to know that the business is running, and that I have built an opportunity for my family to benefit from the revenue in the business and what I'm able to pay myself from the business. That's how I define success, is this business is supporting my life.
Mhm. And I just want to key on one thing you mentioned there. So many people I talk to speak to the freedom, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the key of what they do. But I don't often hear, in fact, this is the first time I think I've ever heard it correlate with the freedom is being away from the business.
Yes.
And that's like critical.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's freedom to do whatever I love to do in the business. So I love being on podcasts. I love podcasting. I have freedom to do that. And it's also the freedom to be away and to enjoy my time away and fully unplug. I love to be sitting at the pool at 4 o'clock watching her swim and think, I'm not checking email. I don't even care what's going on in my email at 4 o'clock because I'm done. I'll take that up the next day when I'm in the office. So that freedom to just be present fully in our lives with ourselves and those we love is, to me, is the biggest success we can have.
I love that. Absolutely. And if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that the gift of your emotional presence with another human being is the greatest gift that you have to give. People, we are lonely in our, and there's so much loneliness going on, especially after the pandemic. But it was happening even before that. When we put away our electronic devices and we listen to someone and we find out, we check in and just say, "How are you doing?" And really, how are you doing? Tell me more about that. And really letting them listen, or letting them know that you're listening and being fully present. I believe that is what life is all about.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And tell us again the links. Where can people find you again?
Okay, tapthepotential.com is our main website, and that's where you can learn about our programs where we help business owners take their lives back from their business. The chart of $10,000 an hour activities is tapthepotential.com/10K. The 4-week vacation pledge, tapthepotential.com/pledge. And then you will also find the Profit by Design podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. But you can also go to the website and find it there too.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Sabrina. This has been amazing, truly.
Thank you, Julie.
Absolutely. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. That's how people find us. And do leave us a review. And Dr. Sabrina's as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.